Joe Volpe, publisher of Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian-language daily newspaper, here with a message just before Christmas. I want to pick up on the theme that we left with yesterday and with what's in the background of this shot. Today, Ottawa. But there's a winter and darkness coming on it, and it all has to do with the humanitarian and compassionate grounds in the immigration plan. So, the comment of the day is humanitarian and compassionate hypocrisy. Quotas. Now, in some government and political circles, that's a dirty word, but it's one of two words that explains the inconsistencies between stated government policies and the realities on the ground. The other is money. 6 months ago, the mayors of 5 Northern Ontario cities submitted written requests to the federal and provincial ministers of immigration, pleading for some mechanisms to draw potential immigrants to their cities and their industries. We need people to sustain the viability of our economy and our social infrastructure, they contended. Quotas begin when one first answers the question, should we have immigration? If so, how much is enough? How do you measure the appropriate amount? Well, demographers and economists know only too well the economics of immigration. Nobody asks them. Newly minted Premier Doug Ford said at the time, we need to take care of our own first. Who? How? The cities in the north are experiencing population decline and an erosion of their local human resources market. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would seem to focus on conveying the impression that Canada is a welcoming place, a generous, forward-looking place for others. But not for everyone. Quotas, decided by policymakers or consequential to their decisions, tell us whether politicals are like Trudeau, live a lie, or are perpetrators of a deliberate obfuscation. For example, his government's Supplementary Information 2018-2020 Immigration Levels Plan calls for target, not quotas, of 177,500 economic migrants under 6 different categories for 2018, which is about to end in a few weeks. They are arbitrary numbers, serving only to provide a semblance of thought process that justifies or legitimates decisions. Policy positions drawn out of a hat to make us feel positive or negative about somebody else's actions. That is, the immigrant's decision to leave their own home and to locate here with us. Nonetheless, governments of all political stripes admit to a national incongruency represented by the presence of 1 million undocumented workers in our midst. People who work day in and day out because it makes economic sense to someone. They do it without papers to prove they have the right to be here. Ahmed Hussein, Minister for Immigration, MP for York South-Weston in Ontario, former clandestine refugee and former immigration lawyer, knows that this underclass of exploited workers challenges everyone's sense of fairness. There are an estimated 500,000 of them in Ontario. But he prefers to give his attention to Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, target, again, not quota, 1,000. Caregivers Program, target, not quota, 17,000. He is also very attentive to the Quebec Skilled Workers and Business Program, target, not quota, 28,900. Despite the fact that the provincial government and the opposition parties complain about their ability to integrate, in other words, they can't speak French well enough. He is providing $11 million to soften the blow. not to the immigrants, to the governments. The economic migrants category also establishes a target, again, not quota, of 55,000 under the provincial nominee program for Ontario. That has so far meant an increase in the recruitment of international students to fill the underutilized inventory. In other words, there are vacant student places. These students pay 2 to 3 times the provincial allocation for education. Taken together with food and accommodation, it is a tidy annual benefit of $25,000 to $45,000 for the hosting institution. Doesn't work as well if you're actually an employer of many of these undocumented workers. But anyway, a recent government report placed the number of international student visas at more than 500,000. If accurate, that's a cool $12.5 billion to $35 billion annually injected into the economy. No long-term obligations on our part. These students appear to anticipate returning home upon graduation. So let's go back to humanitarian and compassionate, otherwise H&C category. If one doesn't fit under the target of 43,000 reserved for the 4 classes of refugees and protected persons, one can always apply for H&C. But there are only 3,500 spots available. Apparently there's a limit to our kindness. Arbitrators even set aside Supreme Court directives to keep the best interests of the child in any determination. This is what they've done in the case of Neves and Dimitri families. There must be a quota on Portuguese speakers and Italians. Thank you, Minister Hussein, for clearing that up for your Prime Minister. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Till we see each other again, Joe Volpe for Corriere Canadese, Go Live TV, Corcan Media Group, wishing you all the best, and follow us on social media, Facebook and Corriere.ca. Until next time.